Ladies and gentlemen, the 11th President of Teachers College, Tom Bailey, accompanied by William D. Rickert, Chairman of the Teachers College Board of Trustees. Please be seated. Please welcome TC Music and Music Education alumna Ria Francani, performing America the Beautiful.
Hello, everybody. I am so honored to be here today to share this special moment with all of you. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Please join me in singing. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Congratulations, President Bailey. We are proud to have you as our president. Thank you.
And now, Yolanda Seeley Ruiz, Associate Professor of English Education, Department of Arts and Humanities.
Greetings, Mr. President, your beloved wife, Dr. Carmenza Gallo, your family members, TC trustees, faculty, alumni, students, staff, friends of the President and the college, and honored guest. TC, on this day at this very hour, A new moment in your story, one you have been writing for over a century, is written. We are worthy witnesses of this new chapter from which all present will read and learn. You have written yourself into the sky. Standing erect, you are a mighty force floating across white clouds that cover over this dark place, a place so rich in history and struggle. You've shown generosity to many, yet most who surround you may never come to know your grace, even though they are mere footsteps away. But they are not nameless, faceless beings. Their experiences are yours. Interwoven histories and her stories and their stories, marked as testimonies of the possible. If only given the chance, they too can be your legacy. It is your beauty that attracts. It pulls us in. Your intellect, your promise that makes us believe. From the poor and the modest to those with incredible wealth, each come before you, entering one way and leaving another. You instruct all of us to pave it forward, destroy barriers, not create them, clear paths using the plows of privilege you have provided. You have a story to tell. You have lived 131 years to be exact. And in that time, you have seen your country at its best and at its worst. You have heard prayers and praises, manifestos crying out for resolutions, voices demanding more for themselves and their world, voices speaking love instead of hate, hope instead of despair, peace instead of war, shouting that their lives matter, as we all know they do. Your voice says, "Here, come this way. There is a path for you." You have seen the hands, listened to the hearts, and sharpened many minds. Shirley Chisholm was just one of yours. For many, you are the hope as they travel this Siddhartha-like journey, waiting for Godot, meeting and greeting her, the ancestors, and those who have not yet arrived. For many, you are the dream of days where race, class, religion, gender, ability, and who we choose to love does not determine how far we go. You promise we can all travel the road of infinite possibilities. These paths, you promise, are ours for the taking. For many, you are the sight, searching for new worlds to inhabit, worlds created with passion and purpose. You are the way forward for us who seek new memories with each waking moment. You implore us to examine, interrupt, and promote liberation, watching and waiting for it to manifest in a world not yet known, a world we long to experience, a world many died trying to realize. You invite us to envision a you yet to be, bridging the gaps and making space for all to thrive, to overcome and flourish, to finally be what someone wished for them to become. My own pathway, not a straight one, laden with rocks and dirt formed in clumps, started in the South Bronx, that is. That path has somehow led me here today with all of you, my fellow travelers. My path said to me and others like me, this is the road. Journey it well. Travel it as though your life depends on it, because it does. My ancestors bent their backs and beckoned me forward. They wiped their sweaty brows, tasted my victory, and smiled. My grandmother folded her calloused hands and softly prayed for me. But today, yes, today, you are seen anew through the eyes and heart of a man who knows you and has experienced your power. A man who has spent decades creating a pathway for many while coming to recognize his own. In all that he does, he desires you to be a productive, respectful, supportive space for anyone who comes through you, a place where barriers are struck down and promises built up. We are the builders. We construct bright futures and turn from practices that break spirits. His vision breathes new life into you so that you can become what you were meant to be, a beacon, a foundation for civic, social, and economic flourishing for all. This new teller of your story carries forward your promise. Know that we support you, Mr. President, in your vision. We lift the pen to co-write this story you seek to tell. Let this investiture be the investment that pushes TC forward. Let your past meet your present at a place where the future comes first. Your vision will show that long after we leave this place, long after this festive moment has passed, TC, you will be here creating pathways where there were none before, clearing the way for those who have entrusted their lives to you. You will make a road for them to walk even when they cannot see the road for themselves. You are Teachers College, steadfast in your unwavering commitment to excellence, equity, and integrity of scholarship. You are Teachers College, and here you will remain. Thank you.
Please welcome William D. Rickert, Chair of the Teachers College Board of Trustees.
Good morning. It's an honor and a pleasure to be speaking to you on this historic occasion, the inauguration of Tom Bailey as Teachers College's 11th president. As you will hear throughout this ceremony, Tom is the right leader for TC today. As he takes the reins at TC, he brings a unique set of skills, experiences, and personal qualities to meet both the challenges and the important opportunities before us. While we are excited about TC's future, I'm going to steal a few minutes today to talk about TC's past and the strong foundation that Tom has inherited. And I have a special connection to the past. As many of you know, the college's founder, Grace Dodge, was my great-great-aunt, and her nephew, Cleveland Dodge, served on TC's board for 67 years, chaired the board for 30, was my grandfather. Strong traditions have shaped the college, and enduring values have guided TC since its founding. Grace Dodge believed that education was the critical pathway through which human beings could lead happier, healthier, more productive lives. During the late 19th century, Grace founded TC, or the Kitchen Garden School as it was initially called, to help the wave of new immigrant women and families reap the benefits of life in a new society. She quickly realized that fulfilling that goal would require preparing a new generation of teachers with the skills to understand and help people who were coming from vastly different backgrounds. And in her own words, we have to lay the foundation not for 1 year or 2 years, but for 50 years. I realized that if education were to become a profession like law and medicine, it would have to have trained teachers. Grace also understood that helping people learn and thrive required attending to their physical and psychological well-being, and thus, despite its name, Teachers College became a place that united scholars from a wide range of fields and disciplines in education, health, and psychology. The story of TC is of an institution that time and again over the past 130 years has convened many of the nation's best minds to help meet the challenges of each era. Our many luminaries have included the great education philosopher and psychologist John Dewey, creator of the modern classroom, who believe that education is fundamental to democracy and a functioning civil society. James Earl Russell, our first great dean, who believed in the unity of all fields of knowledge and helped to launch the field of comparative and international education. Adelaide Nutting, who launched the field of nursing education. Mary Schwartz Rose, regarded as the creator of the field of nutrition education. Elizabeth Farrell, who launched the field of special education. A. Harry Passow, who considered the founder of the fields of urban education and gifted education. Lawrence Kremen, the great education historian and TC president, who argued that education occurs not only in the classroom, but also in churches and theaters, on street corners and in newspapers and on television. The late psychologist Morton Deutsch, regarded as the father of the field of conflict resolution. The late education philosopher and beloved TC faculty member Maxine Green, who urged a stance on wide awakeness toward art and life. And psychology professor emeritus Edmund Gordon, who has championed a vision of supplementary education to level the playing field for underserved children and families. These great thinkers represented vastly different fields and employed different methodologies, but they shared three essential qualities. First, they believed in science and the scientific method. Second, they were versed in multiple disciplines and believed in the importance of collaborating with others of different expertise. And third, they were passionate in their efforts to apply their knowledge to building a better world for all in the here and now. It's the convergence of these three hallmarks that makes Teachers College the unique institution that it has been and continues to be. No other college of education brings together the breadth and expertise that we do, and none can equal our legacy of improving human lives. When Grace Dodge died in 1914, the newspapers wrote about her 100-year look, her vision in creating an institution that was not just relevant in the present moment, but designed to continue fulfilling its mission for decades and perhaps even centuries to come. Which brings me back to the present era and our man of the moment. There are many reasons why Tom Bailey was chosen to serve as TC's next president. He's taught here for 27 years, and like the many great scholars of our past, Tom is a scientist with an extraordinary record of assembling and analyzing evidence, testing ideas, and implementing solutions that work. He's a convener of minds, someone who is all the wiser for knowing what he does not know, and who is able to bring together and inspire people with vastly different perspectives and skills. Above all, Tom is a deeply caring and compassionate human being who goes to work every morning with the goal of helping other people achieve better lives. Selecting a new president of the college is the Board of Trustees' most important responsibility. We met with many extraordinary candidates during our national search, and we unanimously concluded that Tom Bailey was the person best suited to lead this venerable institution. Teachers College and the dream and vision of its founders is in terrifically good hands. And now, as our celebration continues, we'll hear from representatives of various groups within the Teachers College community, because after all, a community is not just a set of buildings, not even buildings as old and beautiful as ours. A community is an inclusive forum that hopes and dreams of every single one of its members, a space where all of us join together to create a vision for a better college and a better society. Tom, the members of the Teachers College community are ready and willing to work with you to fulfill this mission. Speaking first will be Sonia Jones, IT Training and Communications Coordinator, Computer Information Services, who brings greetings from the Teachers College staff.
Good morning, faculty, students, staff, and distinguished guests. My role affords me the opportunity to create a pathway to new technology in the TC community. On behalf of the professional staff, it is my honor to officially welcome Thomas Bailey, the 11th President of Teachers College. As a faculty member for the past 27 years at the first and largest graduate school of education in the United States, President Bailey has demonstrated he is committed to education. He is a champion for true inclusion and has been in the trenches his entire career working towards inclusion and creating a path, putting in the work to advance educational equity. Putting in work to advance the educational equity for marginalized, underrepresented populations and community colleges. President Bailey, your initiative towards success is encouraging. I believe communication is vital. In the short time since your presidency began, you display a genuine interest in learning about the faculty members and staff, all who make up this great university. We applaud your effort and watch with great anticipation as you implement TC's comprehensive approach to education of the whole person, inside and outside the classroom. I think you're off to a great start. I am sure my fellow staff members will agree. We will continue to uphold the core values of this institution while supporting students to the utmost of our ability. Thank you.
Representing TC students, Chloe Dawson.
President Bailey, it is with great excitement that I stand before you, welcoming you and wishing you success as the leader of our shared love, Teachers College. As president of TC Student Senate, I hold near and dear to my heart the priority of creating the best possible experience for all students at Teachers College. And from what I have witnessed in our time together, it is something that is also very close to yours. Under your leadership, TC's Community College Research Center has become known and admired for the way that it embraced and integrated students into its core. Students were given important, funded, intellectually substantive roles with real responsibilities, which created an ideal space for them to fully concentrate on their passion. When those students completed their time at Teachers College, it was as if they had not earned one, but 2 degrees, a formal TC diploma and an informal but equally important seal of approval from CCRC. As a result, students felt not only prepared to go out into the world and find work in their fields, but confident in the power of their work and the difference it can make in the world. What you cultivated with CCRC embodies the TC way, and it models the kind of experience all TC students need. At the same time, you've impressed me with your thoughtful questions about student experiences and student needs. However, what really stands out is the way in which you've listened to the student body. You could have easily treated our conversations as a formality. After all, you have an amazing team of staff dedicated to champion student life issues. But you asked, and you listened, because you genuinely want to know and improve the student experience. And for that, I am grateful. As students, we are more than the tuition we pay. We're co-creators with faculty in cutting-edge research. We're co-collaborators in engaging TC and global programming. And we're co-conspirators in carrying the values and traditions of Teachers College in the fight against inequity, injustice, and intolerance around the world. So thank you, President Bailey, for answering the call to lead. On behalf of the student body, We look forward to working together to usher in TC's finest hour yet. Thank you.
Representing TC alumni, Marion Boltby.
I bring to President Bailey the warm wishes of 90,000 Teachers College alumni from around the world. I'm sure every TC alum has experienced something like the following when TC comes up in a conversation. Oh, I have a relative, or perhaps a friend who went to TC. My high school teacher who changed my life went to TC. And perhaps even my therapist went to TC. Seriously, almost everyone I meet knows someone who went to TC. We are teachers, reading specialists, and school leaders at the forefront of education. We are speech pathologists, psychologists, health professionals, and nutritionists striving to make life better for the people and communities we serve. We are scholars, authors, artists, musicians, and heads of nonprofits. We are advocates, organizational leaders, ministers of state, ministers of education, and heads of state. We all have one thing in common. We owe much of our success to the knowledge, skills, and perhaps even the wisdom that we gained as TC students. That is why we are proud to call TC our alma mater, and that is why we are ready to serve as mentors and ambassadors who will help President Bailey create new pathways for current and future TC students to flourish and to have the rewarding and life-changing experiences that we have. On behalf of the members of the Alumni Council and all TC alumni, congratulations, Tom Bailey.
Representing the TC faculty, James H. Borland.
Good morning. As chair of the Faculty Executive Committee, I am honored to have been asked to welcome Tom Bailey to Teachers College on behalf of the faculty and to congratulate him on becoming the 11th president of this great institution. Now, it's more than a bit odd to welcome Tom to TC since he has been our faculty colleague for quite some time. I do not know for sure how long Tom has been here, but I'm pretty certain that tales of him downing a few beers with John Dewey and Edward Lee Thorndike would not survive a rigorous fact check. I do, however, remember serving on the FEC with Tom way back in the 20th century, so he's hardly a newcomer to Teachers College. In addition to serving on the Teachers College faculty, Tom has considerable experience as a center director, having led the Community College Research Center for over 2 decades. Being a center director can be a challenging undertaking at Teachers College, an experience that makes one very familiar with aspects of the TC bureaucracy, of which most of us on the faculty are and would like to remain blissfully ignorant. And as you probably know, Tom is an economist. That, however, is a failing for which, in the spirit of fresh beginnings, we will forgive him. Teachers College has a long history of shared governance, of faculty and administration working together to make decisions and to solve problems. Shared governance is one of the things that makes Teachers College Teachers College. I believe that I speak for my fellow FEC members and for the faculty as a whole when I say that we look forward to continuing this great tradition. To that end, we are eager to forge a productive, collegial relationship with Tom and his administration, a process that has already begun. In one of our meetings, I told Tom that his success is our success. We cannot succeed unless he does, and we will do what we can to help him succeed. Teachers College faces some daunting challenges in the years ahead, but I am confident that working as a team and carrying on the Teachers College tradition of shared governance, we will be able to face and to surmount those challenges. So Tom, welcome and congratulations We on the faculty and the entire Teachers College community look forward to working in partnership with the Bailey administration to continue Teachers College's tradition of excellence in the years ahead. Thank you.
Representing members of the TC staff, Gary Lord.
Good morning, everyone. It is a great honor to be here today. I've been a staff member at TC for quite some time. I guess at the time you can refer to me as an old-timer. Throughout my tenure, I've had the privilege to have met several of President Bailey's predecessors. At first encounter with someone that at the time I only knew as Larry. Larry and I had many lengthy conversations on just about anything. He made me feel welcome and introduced me to the ins and outs here at TC. It was just by coincidence that I later found out that Larry was actually Lawrence Kremen, a faculty member and former president of Teachers College. I was taken aback and kept thinking how stressful I would find our next conversations. Yet to my surprise, Larry was the same, even after he knew of my knowing that he was TC's former president. My first introduction to Thomas Bailey was because of my curiosity about his work around community colleges. When I graduated from high school in the early 80s, a lot of folks who looked like me were being encouraged to attend community colleges to learn a trade. There was a great stigma around community colleges back then, and many people chose not to enroll. Professor Bailey's research gave me a different understanding of what community colleges were really about and their significance. I recently encountered President Bailey when he met with the TC union leaders, and I was pleased to see that he did what Larry Kremen did so many years ago. He made us all feel a part of TC. President Bailey, as a TC staff and community member, I can appreciate the enormity of the task ahead of you. I encourage you to lean on the staff members for any help that we can provide. I wish you Godspeed and much success. When you succeed, we all succeed. Thank you all, and congratulations, President Bailey.
Please welcome Ji-Hae Hong Park and Katie Ho, TC Music and Music Education alumna and Morse Scholar. Please welcome Adriano Espaillat, United States Representative from New York's 13th Congressional District.
Greetings and welcome all of you to this, the 13th Congressional District, an iconic district in New York City, which has Harlem, the iconic capital of the African diaspora in New York City, in the country, if not the world. It has East Harlem, which is the launching pad for the Hispanic experience in this great city, working class and immigrant Washington Heights and the Northwest Bronx. And this campus sits on the southern border of the district. And this tremendous temple, which is a historic temple, it's been the platform for many progressive voices to come and speak to the world. I think it's a fitting place for this ceremony, a very fitting place for the ceremony. This city, like Teachers College, has the ability to reinvent itself. I remember a former mayor of this city telling us that when he had foreign dignitaries coming into the city of New York, they saw bustling construction all over the city, and it was the city's efforts to reinvent itself, as it does every year, every decade. And I think this college is also one that gives us the opportunity to create a new chapter. And this is a new chapter, the history of this institution, and how fitting that is happening here in perhaps one of the most important crossroads of our history. And in Thomas Bailey, we have someone that comes from humble beginnings. He was a welder, a cab driver. You don't know now whether maybe he was the originator of Uber, or a yellow cab, or a livery cab. He was someone that worked with veterans. His family was committed to the values of consensus building. They devoted much of their lives to issues like poverty, peace, social issues, and global perspectives. His background and experiences served the impetus for his concerns in educating people from all backgrounds, and his openness to others' lives and points of view. Of course, Dr. Bailey is the founding director of Teachers College Community College Research Center, an important concept, a community college that has been championed by Dr. Bailey for many, many years, and his unique contributions to the guided pathway concept has been adopted by 250 colleges across 28 states of this union. He has been the driving force to promote student graduation rate and acquisition of skills to succeed in the marketplace. And he chaired President Obama's administration commission on the developing a new outcomes measure for community colleges. And so the concept of community colleges and communities and institutions of higher learning is a very progressive concept, and one that will, I believe, motor the city to move forward. And so here we have someone who does a champion, an architect of that concept, and I think this is a wide open window of great new opportunities. And for those reasons, as a member of the Congress, as we engage in this 116th session of Congress, one which promises to be very exciting, at the very least, if not a roller coaster ride. It is because of those reasons that I want to present to Dr. Bailey this proclamation from the U.S. Congress for his past work in education, but of course for what the future proposes to all of us in this community and the planet. Dr. Bailey, congratulations.
Please welcome New York City Council member Mark Levine.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so honored to be part of this inspiring ceremony. Mr. President, I can't welcome you to the neighborhood because you are a veteran here, but I can say how thrilled I am that you're taking the helm of this institution at such a critical time for education in New York City. And it's such an honor for me to represent this district, the 7th District, and to represent Teachers College and the City Council. I can say that being a City Council member is a pretty intense job, but it's actually only the second most difficult job that I've ever had. The most difficult job I've ever had was being a teacher. Yes. I started my career back in the 90s as a bilingual math and science teacher at Junior High School 149 in the South Bronx in District 7. So I'm full of admiration and gratitude to those of you who, unlike me, have made a career of this work. And I have firsthand knowledge of just how incredibly challenging it is to simultaneously manage a classroom and inspire young people and impart the curriculum and meet the social and emotional needs of your students. Teaching is a career which requires people of extraordinary talent and passion and drive. The rest of us who can't measure up to those standards have to settle for careers in politics. Oh well. And I have a profound appreciation for the role of Teachers College in shaping great educators. And I see it all the time as I make regular visits to schools in my district. And I am constantly meeting talented teachers and school psychologists and health workers and principals and other leaders who are Teachers College graduates. So you are clearly making a contribution to this city. And you're touching schools in many other important ways, none more important to my district than the kindergarten through 8th grade school that you established and continue to support in West Harlem, the Teachers College Community School, which is vibrant and diverse and uplifting. It's an incredible educational community that wouldn't exist if not for your efforts and the leadership of your Vice President, Nancy Strime. And I am so thrilled that the incredible leader of the school, Principal Verdenier, is here on the dais. She actually deserves a round of applause. She is amazing. And my city and my district benefit enormously from the thought leadership of Teachers College and all the research emerging from this institution. In particular, your truly expansive view of community health, one that I share. My view of a healthy community is in part about education in the traditional sense, but also requires access to healthy food in community stores and school cafeterias. It means well-maintained public space and green space for community building and connecting to the natural world and exercising. It means youth-run community gardens. It means vibrant, safe, walkable streets. It means limiting access to tobacco and e-cigarettes and sugary soda. It means access to mental health services, both in schools and in communities. It means public art that inspires and challenges people and offers a vehicle for expression by young people. And I know that Teachers College gets this. You get how totally interconnected all of these elements are. In fact, you have built a truly interdisciplinary institution around this vision. And I know that Tom Baylor is the right leader to push Teachers College forward, to tap the power of interconnections, to continue to project TC's ideas and talents out into our schools and our broader city. So I could not be more excited to partner with you, Mr. President, and I welcome you and celebrate your many future successes and say congratulations.
Welcome Belinda Miles, TC alumna and president of Westchester Community College, who will deliver greetings on behalf of academia.
Greetings all. I stand before you, a proud two-time TC alumna. a first-generation college student for whom academic achievement at Teachers College was exceedingly and abundantly beyond what I could have ever imagined growing up in public housing and attending public schools in Queens, the daughter of parents who migrated to New York City from the cotton fields of the Carolinas during the Harlem Renaissance. On this auspicious occasion of the investiture of Tom Bailey as president of Teachers College, I bring greetings on behalf of our colleges and universities, institutions of tremendous progress and promise, serving our nation and more than 20 million students who come to us seeking pathways to employment, further education, and subject matter expertise, and so much more. Yet academia today faces mounting skepticism about the value of higher education and its ability to prepare individuals as citizens and workers who can adapt to constant uncertainty and change driven in part by increasing globalization, advanced technology, artificial intelligence, and emerging markets. One of our strengths to counter misconceptions is our commitment to continuous learning and knowledge generation. Whether public or private, 2-year or 4, undergraduate or research, from community colleges to the Ivy League, we must remain vigilant about improving higher learning through rigorous inquiry, analysis, and discovery. This means being bold enough to go where the data leads, expecting that we can facilitate higher performance for more students. New knowledge helps us understand that access to pathways alone is not sufficient and that institutional resolve is needed to support students. New knowledge sheds light on who is progressing and completing and who we're missing. New knowledge helps us replace structures that don't work with better policies and pedagogies. We also demonstrate strength when we cross boundaries to create integrated stakeholder systems comprised of K-12 partners, neighborhood organizations, health professionals, arts communities, agencies where we influence policy and advocate for change, philanthropists who invest in our vision, and businesses where we bring new ideas to market, along with pipelines of promising personnel. Tom's work has long modeled such integration, moving beyond the research to work with funders and policymakers through networks that collectively have scale and impact that make a difference. Within our institutions, integration involves creating spaces that foster authentic engagement, uniting faculty, students, community, and others. In these spaces, ideas are encouraged and differences are explored. They are spaces that perforate where we perforate walls to allow in the struggle that helps foster deeper understanding and growth. Another strength is the growing presence of learners who are more varied than ever, ranging from top-performing high school graduates to high school dropouts, students with limited English language skills and literacy, single parents, immigrants, veterans, and other historically underrepresented groups. Knowing how best to teach and learn in this context is critical. To paraphrase an idea from Tom's book with Sue Berryman, The Double Helix of Education and the Economy, humans are inquisitive, sense-making beings who learn best when actively engaged in solving problems that mean something to them, testing solutions, learning from their errors, and working together. Well-prepared minds equipped for continuous learning. Curriculum that generates such abilities aligns well with liberal education ideals and honors students, preparing them for what lies ahead. For me, TC was such a place where my passion for social justice and positive change met intellectual development and guidance on how to create models and methods that dare to achieve results where others failed or failed to try. Here, my fledgling ideas became new discoveries. My compassion became the fuel for my leadership, and I felt dignity as I immersed myself in the messy, heavy lift of work that transcends. Similarly, academia today plays a huge role in helping students achieve the best version of themselves, unleashing their potential and preparing them for a life in service to others. We are a huge part of America's hope for the future. Thank you, Tom, for your work elevating the community college voice and setting a high standard for what it means to be scholars and practitioners in our shared purpose of creating pathways where all can flourish. Thanks also to the Teachers College Board of Trustees for your wisdom in selecting our dear colleague, mentor, teacher, scholar, friend, president, Dr. Tom Bailey, leader for today and into the future. Thank you.
Welcome Eloy Ortiz Oakley, Chancellor of the California Community Colleges.
Good afternoon, Teachers College. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you on this very special occasion. And as I was flying here from the West Coast, the left coast, I couldn't help but wonder why I was invited to speak today. Certainly, Tom is a friend and colleague, and I've worked closely with faculty and researchers at CCRC, but when the congressman made his comments today, the light went off. If 250 colleges throughout the country have adopted the Guided Pathways framework, 115 of them are in California, and more importantly, that means we've bought a lot of books with Tom's name on them. But no, seriously, I want to thank Mr. Ruckert and the entire Board of Trustees for inviting me to speak with you today, and certainly thank you to the entire Teachers College community for the tremendous work that you do. I also, again, want to congratulate Tom, my friend and colleague, on his appointment as president, but most importantly, for his lifelong commitment to making higher education more accessible and more meaningful to all Americans, regardless of their backgrounds or the circumstances that have shaped their lives. So friends, and yes, as a Californian, I can call New Yorkers friends, primarily because I'm a Dodger fan, and any city that despises the Boston Red Sox is a friend of mine. Must be a few Bostonians in here. We are privileged, and I mean privileged, to live in a moment in time, this moment in time, where chaos has become sport, where there is such a thing as fake news now, where the economy is changing faster than any of us can digest it, and information is at the fingertips of people across the globe. We are in a moment in time where issues involving race and ethnicity and historically left behind communities are being forced to the surface. We are being forced to face these issues head on. This is also a moment in time where, as was mentioned earlier, the American public is questioning the value of a higher education and questioning the institutions that have traditionally provided that education. We are also in a moment in time that paradoxically, the social and market value of a higher education has never been greater and more important to the majority of Americans. We, as educators and consumers of higher education, are now even questioning the value of college rankings, of standardized placement and admission exams, of seat time education, and of the nature of credentials themselves. All this is being questioned, and rightfully so. And for all of these seemingly contradictory reasons and examples, this is exactly why we, as educators and leaders in higher education, are privileged. We are in a moment in time when the actions that we take, the ideas that we further, matter more than ever. This Teachers College was founded for the purpose of providing education to a population that was historically underserved and alienated. This is your mission. We are privileged today to be able to continue that very mission by embracing the opportunity to serve more Americans and to serve them better. And when I say more Americans, I mean all Americans, regardless of their stripes or backgrounds or where they're from or what piece of paper they come to this country with. We serve all Americans. And so to serve them better, and I know we all want to serve them better, and to become an academy of educators that truly can serve them better, we need to embrace inclusion and reject exclusion. Let me say that again. We need to embrace, as educators in higher education, the notion that the more people we can wrap our arms around and provide the support, the education, the background, the foundation that we provide, the better. So I encourage you and challenge you to push that notion, to include more Americans, to think more at all levels of what education means to the future of all Americans, and become more inclusive. And I say that to all of us as educators. We in the California community colleges are very grateful for the work that's happened here at Teachers College. As I mentioned, the California community colleges represents 115 colleges, and we serve more than 2 million students. To give you a sense of the influence you have on the nation's future in higher education, let me put into context to you what influencing the California community colleges means. 1 out of every 4 community college students in this nation is a California community college student. 10% of all undergraduates in America are in the California community colleges. So the work that you're doing to influence the outcomes in California is influencing and will continue to influence the outcome of colleges throughout America. We have been very privileged to work with the Community College Research Center, which was led by Tom. The work that's been done at CCRC has influenced many of the things that we're doing today. For example, as I mentioned, we've embraced the Guided Pathways framework across our entire system. Through your research, we've built the foundation that allows us to put faith back in our students and believe in their potential. Based on your research, we have eliminated the use of destructive college assessment and placement exams, and we are quickly working to eliminate the use of developmental or remedial course sequences with the expectation of finally ending the use of all of them. And we have used CCRC's valuable research to launch California's first public, and I say public, fully online, tech-enabled, competency-based education skills acquisition platform designed to reach the more than 8 million Californians that are in the workforce that have little more than a high school diploma. They are some of our most vulnerable workers in America, and we need to do more to reach them and help them acquire the skills that they need. So thank you for the research that you've provided us. So it is in this moment in time that we come together. Together we can create a new reality for low-income communities and students of color. We together can destroy the industrial complex built on the myth that standardized placement and admission exams have They have created a perverse sorting mechanism in our country that dictates who gets into college and which college on the basis of no credible evidence. Together, we can rewrite the calculus of how we measure value of colleges and universities and properly credit those institutions that lift the majority of Americans in higher education and give them the economic mobility that they strive for. Together, we can rewrite the story of higher education in America and lift educators who value the mission of serving students who have been least represented in our colleges and universities. I am hopeful and I am very confident that under Tom Bailey's leadership, Teachers College itself will reflect on the work of CCRC and the work that he led, taking a look at how we create better pathways for the students at Teachers College and throughout the university, and really focusing on what students bring to the table and how to help them succeed. This research applies as much to community colleges as it does to this college, its parent university, and all universities throughout the country. Finally, let me close by again saying thank you to all of you. And let me leave you with this message. And I know I'm speaking to the choir here, literally. I ask us all to think about how we both prepare teachers and how we teach. And that we put the focus back on teaching to the heart and not teaching to the mind. When we teach from the mind to the mind, we simply pass along knowledge and information. But when we teach from our hearts to the hearts of our students, we inspire the mind. And it is through that inspiration that we truly transform America. So thank you for all that you do and for the pleasure of being with you today. And Tom, congratulations on your appointment as president. Thank you all.
And now, Daryl Jordan, doctoral candidate in the Music and Music Education program. Daryl is accompanied by Ji Hae Hong Park and Katie Ho.
From le tenere e belle del mio platano amato, per voi risplenda il fado. Tuoni, lampi e protelle non vi oltraggino mai la cara pace, né giunga a profanarvi vostro rapace. Soave più.
Please welcome President of Columbia University, Lee Bollinger.
It is a great pleasure and honor to be with you today. I'd like to extend a very brief statement to President Bailey. Let me begin by recognizing Arthur Levine and Susan Furman, whom I worked with on a number of projects during their time. It's a great, great pleasure to be with both of you. And I want to acknowledge the Board of Trustees of Teachers College for their role in guiding the school through this very important transition. Moments like these, moments in which we honor long-standing traditions while celebrating new beginnings, are extremely important to our communities. Columbia University has a long and distinguished history of offering its students an education that is both profoundly scholarly, yet very much grounded in the world around us. And in recent years, we've been doing a lot of rethinking about the ways in which we do this, as all institutions of the scale, history, and importance must do. Teachers College represents the very best of what we do in this community of scholars. Your story is one of bold innovation, grounded in professional and compassionate service. It is a story of men and women, committed educators who devote their scholarship to understanding how people learn and how they should be taught. It is a story that begins in a small school in Greenwich Village, one that taught practical skills to poor immigrant women. It blossomed into one of the most creative and forward-thinking educational institutions in the world. Grace Headley Dodge was our visionary. You pioneered an interdisciplinary and global approach to education. You established the first programs in the country dedicated education psychology, to nursing education, and to nutrition education. Leaders like John Dewey and Edward Lee Thorndike spent their lives trying to combine a sense of the philosophy of education with the practical side of education. And in the 1920s, Teachers College launched an international institute that hosted thousands of foreign students. And the story continues today with your work on the teaching of STEM subjects, on early childhood education, on programs abroad, on bilingual education. The list goes on and on. The breadth of your areas of expertise, from cognitive science and clinical psychology to mathematics and the arts, is wondrous. And you have many, many illustrious graduates, alumni, among whom my favorite is my wife, Jean. Columbia could not be more proud of its relationship with Teachers College, a relationship that goes back to the days of Nicholas Murray Butler, before he was president of the university, when he helped the school move into its current location on 120th Street. Since that time, we have grown together as institutions inspired by the needs of an ever-changing world. Today, as we welcome President Bailey, I am here on behalf of Columbia University to reaffirm that bond. President Bailey, you now assume the leadership of this great institution. I can assure you that being a president can be one of the easiest jobs in the world. There are many people who are prepared to praise you, provided you do not interfere with their work. I know. Like you and many people here today, all people here today, I have been a student and a faculty member, and I know and remember vividly the feeling that I have complete and total independence from anyone, but especially from the university administration. That is, except when I want something. I trust that now you are here to upset that inclination. And when you do, just remember that I am living just across the street and am the one person in the world, or at least the closest person in the world, to share your sorrows, to comfort your soul, and to help heal your wounds. It is our good fortune that education is the answer, or certainly one of the central answers, to almost every problem that afflicts the world today. We fear for our democracy, as differential educational opportunities lead to different and unequal life prospects, and then to political polarization and to political demagoguery. We fear for our democracy and our capacity to discuss matters of common concern when new technologies like the internet permit people to escape the responsibilities of confronting different opinions. And we fear for our inability to grapple with the inequalities resulting from social and political injustices and discrimination, where education is the solution. Education is where it's at, and you at Teachers College are where it's at. A wise and dear friend said to me as he turned 70, this was before I did, after I asked him what it was like to turn 70, he said this: no matter how much he had thought about it beforehand, it was still a shock. And it made him realize that the natural course of life should be 210 years. 70 to learn, 70 to do because you now feel ready finally to do something, and 70 to teach the next generation. This is how we all feel. Most of life, in other words, is about learning and sharing that learning. And at Teachers College, this is where you live. Congratulations, Tom, and Teachers College.
And now to introduce Tom Bailey is Judith Scott Clayton, Associate Professor of Economics and Education, Department of Education Policy and Social Analysis.
Thank you. So without Tom Bailey, I wouldn't be here. Obviously, without Tom Bailey, none of us would be here in this specific moment, at this specific spot. But what I mean is that I wouldn't be where I am in life, doing the work that I'm doing, if not for Tom. There are probably many of you here in this room today who would say the same thing, but I also know that others of you are just getting to know Tom and wanting to get sort of the inside scoop on what to expect in the coming years. So I'm here to share a bit about my experience with Tom so that all of you can get just as excited as those of us who do know him are about what he will bring to this new role. Tom Bailey chaired the search committee that brought me to Teachers College about 10 years ago, fresh out of graduate school, for a faculty position that included a substantial research role at the Community College Research Center, or CCRC. And as I was preparing for today, I was reflecting on the qualities that have defined this 10 years that I've had working with Tom. And it wasn't easy to try to boil them all down, but I settled upon 3 qualities that I think are particularly relevant for his new role. The first, which many have already spoken about today, is Tom's natural warmth and good nature, which sets the tone for everyone around him. This might sound like a small thing, but one thing that I really noticed when I came to Teachers College, moving from another hyper-overachieving city on the East Coast, was that whenever I saw Tom, he'd ask about my family or ask about something I'd done that weekend. And in an overachieving place, it was really nice to be acknowledged in these simple ways as a human being with value separate and apart from my latest accomplishment. Now, we all know that presidential candidates are often judged on the standard of whether or not this is someone you'd like to have a beer with. Well, I think Tom would pass an even more stringent standard, which is, could you ask him to hold your baby for a few minutes at the holiday party so that you could get a quick bite to eat? But in any case, the answer to both of those questions is yes. Tom was well known as a baby holder at CCRC, and that's something I took advantage of at least once or twice. The second quality that stands out to me about Tom is his intellectual incisiveness and his intolerance for BS. He's an excellent listener, and as just mentioned, he's extremely good-natured, but don't mistake this for uncritical approval. He'll ask hard questions, including of his own work, and he'll expect everyone to know their stuff, nor will he let anyone coast on their own past success. When I first came to TC as a quantitative researcher with a fancy degree but no particular expertise in community colleges, Tom insisted that I get out there and visit a few campuses to talk to students, talk to faculty, talk to administrators on the ground, so that I would have at least some clue what the heck I was talking about before I started crunching their data. I hope and expect he'll continue to be as demanding of himself and of the rest of us in his new role as president. The third, and maybe the most important quality for this new role, is Tom's skill as a cultivator of both individual potential and, at the same time, a common purpose. At CCRC, there are always dozens of projects ongoing at any given time, involving not just TC faculty and researchers, but often other faculty and research partners from around the country. So, as you might imagine, a big part of Tom's role as director often involved a fair amount of herding cats. Not that faculty are anything like that, but despite Tom being, I think, more of a dog person at heart, he's also apparently a really good herder of cats. He's not a micromanager. Cats really wouldn't like that, and not once in my time here have I had the sense that he was trying to shape me or any of the staff at CCRC into his own image. From the beginning, I have appreciated that Tom always wanted to help me succeed at being the best me I could be. And yet, while he gives individuals the flexibility that they need to flourish, he also was constantly pushing us to find the common threads in our work, to tie them together, and to make a contribution that would be greater than the sum of our individual parts. So this only scratches the surface, really, of why I believe Tom Bailey is the right man for this moment. But luckily, you don't have to take my word for it, because you're all about to learn for yourselves.
I would describe Tom Bailey as a collaborator. He is a listener,
can connect with everyone.
Wicked smart, intellectually curious.
Tom is the one in the room who will come up with those insights and the one people will look to at the end of the conversation to think about how to move forward.
One of the things that I think stood out to me when I was a member of the search committee, he has a genuine warmth that comes comes across in a very easy, unassuming way. And in terms of an institution that's trying to foster a community of learners, a community of scholars to be collaborative with one another, those qualities seem vital to leading this institution.
I think my parents were fundamental shapers of my style. My parents were Quakers and were very committed to the notion of consensus.
I think Tom's view of the world comes from the direct experience of work. On the one hand, he's been very successful at Harvard and MIT and Teachers College, but he also is equally at home in factories.
I drove a cab. I got a job in a shipyard as a welder's apprentice. So those were basically practical goals that I had that then led me to these experiences where I got to know a wide range of people that I otherwise would not have had an opportunity to meet.
I think it's really these experiences and his own career doing observational work of people in actual workplaces around America. It's that really fine feeling for what most people actually do in their lives that distinguishes Tom.
The research that Tom and his team have led through CCRC has been, in my opinion, groundbreaking for community colleges. They have given us some research-based evidence that has helped us to take honest looks at how we're doing and how can we go about helping students in our institutions in better ways.
With this book, Tom and his colleagues developed a strategy for what they call guided pathways, in which the fundamental idea is that you provide students with much more structure and support.
Guided Pathways is providing a toolkit and a model to help community college faculty reconsider the way the curriculum is organized to better support students along their academic journey.
Tom and his colleagues have pretty much blown up the traditional models of remedial education and done that based on really solid research with very large data sets over a number of years.
There's a wealth of experimentation, a wealth of ideas out there that would not have gotten started without the work that Tom and CCRC accomplished.
He has a core commitment to equity, to economic and social upward mobility, and he knows that education at whatever level is our avenue to the achievement of the American dream.
This institution needs to be focused on the education opportunities for every student and at the same time thinking about the gaps and inequities so that we can have a strong, diverse college that leads to a diverse society where everybody has the opportunities that they deserve.
This is just a very challenging time for higher education in general. Costs are rising. Higher education also is just under attack, I would say, by many, or at least viewed with suspicion as perhaps having certain kinds of cultural biases or not speaking to all communities that need to be represented in higher education. I can't think of a better person than Tom Bailey to come into a place like Teachers College and address some of those broader challenges that we see in the field.
We need leaders who care deeply about the faculty, who care deeply about the students, but who also understand that there are multiple pathways into accessing education.
I want the institution to be a place where staff, students, faculty, everybody feels that they have the support, they have the respect, they have the opportunity to meet the goals that they have.
And now William Ruckert and Leslie Nelson.
And now we will bestow the Teachers College Chain of Office on President Bailey. Tom, would you please join us? The Chain of Office was commissioned and presented to Teachers College by Elihu Rose, a former trustee. It is the official representation of the Office of President of Teachers College, Columbia University. Placing it on the shoulders of each ensuing Teachers College president formally recognizes their official occupancy of the presidency of Teachers College. On behalf of those present, Tom, and all those who have sent their regards, we wish for you a long and successful career in this special office which you now hold. Our best wishes and support will be with you in the days ahead as you guide Teachers College to an even greater future in service to humankind.
Good afternoon. Let's do a better job with that, please. Good afternoon. All right. Okay, now an inauguration is certainly an investiture of a new president, and I appreciate that. But more important, it's really an affirmation of education's ideals and a celebration of the college itself and where we're headed next. Now, I'm going to thank lots of people because that's as it should be, but before I do that, I really want to speak to the entire community, just because I want to emphasize what a wonderful feeling of reception and support and friendship that I have received since I've become president. Now, I've been here for many years, as we've heard, but obviously stepping into this new job is a different and certainly a completely new experience for me. And I'm not only talking about the faculty and administrators, certainly they've been great. The students, we had a wonderful pasta dinner for those of you who were there last Monday. Carmenza and I were there. We loved that. That was great. I'm going to look for many more opportunities to get to know our students. But I also want to talk about the people who make the college work. Culinart, public safety, the wonderful staff that we have that does our facilities and maintenance, as well as all of the staff who make our academic and administrators' offices work. So I want to say thank you to that. It makes it a pleasure for me to walk into the college every day. It makes me feel like this is an institution that's really worth leading. But at the same time, it gives me motivation to try to do the best job that I can. So you've set that bar high for me, and I want you to know how much I appreciate that. Now, I want to start by thanking a particular group of people. This is an amazing event. Some of you have been here all week, right? We've had events every single day, and that's been put together by our event staff and our volunteers who have given their time. I'm amazed we can't walk through the streets without being guided by people. So please join me in thanking the volunteers who've made this possible. And now I have to talk about the people who have really brought me to this, and I have to start with my wife, Carmenza Gallo. She's a fellow professor and social scientist who's repeatedly encouraged me to question my own assumptions and to think carefully, very carefully, before I act. Now, besides enjoying a really wonderful intellectual partnership over the last years that we've been together, we also have some parallels in our career. 28 years ago, we were actually offered our academic jobs on the same day, or within a 24-hour period. And we started new careers. I started this in July, and in June, she started a new career as a docent at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So that adds to the interest of our discussions. So Carmenza, thank you so much for all that we have done together. Now, my two daughters, Daniela, a TC alum, can I say go blue? Is that and Erica, both of them are educators, they're leaders. Now, at this stage in the parent-child relationship, the flow of advice and counsel is no longer one way, that's for sure. But I think with these two, I think there's a lot more coming from the child to the parent than from the parent to the child. But I just have to say, the stakes are higher. There's a lot more people who are concerned about the wisdom of your advice than there was before. So keep that in mind. So thank you so much for all that I have learned from you. Thank you. Now, we've heard about my parents. They were Quakers. They devoted their life to their faith. And they did teach me to listen, to seek consensus. Now, one of the bittersweet things about taking a job like this after both of your parents have passed away is that you don't get the pleasure of making the phone call. Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm a college president. Now, I know that they would have been proud of me. My brother and sisters who are here, I think, can attest to that. I actually realized just today that the day I was appointed to this job would have been the 100th anniversary, the 100th birthday of my father. So. Now, of course, I have to acknowledge the Presidential Search Committee for their confidence in naming me to this job, and I pledge that I will do my best to justify that confidence. If you care about working for a thriving and just society where everyone can fulfill their potential and realize their dreams as I do, there can be no greater gift than the opportunity to lead Teachers College. And I'm enormously excited and grateful to take that on. I'm also deeply indebted to my recent predecessors. Michael Champagne, who unfortunately can't be here today, hired me at Teachers College. Arthur Levine has done many good things for the college, but what I thank him most for is that he helped me start the Community College Research Center. So Arthur, I will be forever indebted to you for the work that we did together on that. And Susan Furman, who gave CCRC and me personally so much support during the past 12 years. She's left TC in sound financial condition with much improved and in many cases beautiful physical spaces, an excellent faculty, increased student funding, and a solid partnership with the community that we have heard about today. Now for her, I say because of her, I have so many things I don't have to worry about. You're gonna get another opportunity because I want to say both of you have immeasurably added to TC's legacy of excellence and service. So now please rise so we can really thank you with our applause. Now, I also want to thank Lee Bollinger, the president of Columbia University, who was here. Thank you so much. Believe me, I will call you when I need you in those circumstances. I've told people who've made these promises not to make them lightly because they will be called on. So we certainly deeply value our membership in the Columbia community, and I will certainly do the best that I can and to work with Lee and everyone else to strengthen TC's relationship to the university. Now, I want to thank all of our higher education colleagues, my family and friends who've traveled from near and far to be here today, including my dear friends Belinda Miles. Belinda, thank you, and Eli Ortiz, who came all the way from California. Thank you so much for your kind words. To Congressman Espaillat, thank you. All right. Thank you. And Councilmember Levine, thank you for your kind words, and I will definitely take you up on your promise to work with me. Also, to all my fellow presidents and senior education leaders who are here, I look forward to working together and accomplishing great things with you. Now, we've also seen today the advantage. We are a university. We have many different programs, but we have a great music education program. And today, you've seen the advantages of that. So thank you to all of our student alumni and alumni musicians for wonderful contributions to today's event. Also, I appreciate that my own piano teacher, Ji Hong Park, performed there, so that was a great treat for me. Now, there's no question that I stand here today because of the success of the Community College Research Center. We've already heard about that. Now, I'm very proud of that, that's for sure, but I did not do that alone. So to my fellow CCRCers past and present, thank you for coming together to make CCRC such a powerful agent of transformative work. You've certainly helped the world, but of course, you've also helped me personally. So I look forward to continue to working with you and doing what I can for CCRC and community colleges in my new position. Now, finally, to the many community college faculty, staff, and administrators and students we have worked with over the years, you've inspired me time and again with your courage and determination to overcome tough circumstances and financial constraints in order to achieve fundamental social goals. I just hope that I can live up to the potential that you exemplify. Please. So this brings me to what I want to talk about today. How can Teachers College live up to its potential to build smarter, more productive, and more just societies? How can we direct our great teaching and research enterprise towards creating a world with pathways for all to flourish? Now, make no mistake, Teachers College stands at the forefront of new knowledge about learning and human development across the lifespan. TC has led, though, in so many areas of inquiry and practice, in education, in health, and in psychology. We are leaders in how to enhance the development of young children by understanding the role of family, neighborhoods, schools, and poverty from perspectives as varied as sociology, psychology, policy, and neuroscience. We are innovators in how to improve the learning of school-age children, from pedagogical approaches to literacy and the teaching of mathematical ideas, from the role of hunger and healthcare, to the importance of culture and identity in classrooms, from the role of art and music to the role of technology. Now, we've forged new paths in how to strengthen outcomes for post-secondary students by exploring how parents, schools, communities, and institutions encourage and inhibit attendance and success, how students learn best in college, and what the role of post-secondary institutions in our society should be. We have pioneered new strategies, methods, and interventions for improving the health and physical activity and functioning of all ages, whether that's improvement in speech, nutrition, physical coordination and fitness, or mental health. With many programs and initiatives, we have pointed the way to narrowing the growing racial, ethnic, and income gaps in success by developing culturally appropriate pedagogies and by identifying and challenging the policies and practices that disproportionately hurt students of color, low-income, and LGBTQ students. And since TC was founded, we have worked to deepen and enrich the learning and development that takes place outside of formal institutions, in workplaces, houses of worship, social service offices, museums, governments, from corporations to refugee camps, from Washington, D.C. to Nairobi to right here in Harlem. Clearly, we approach our overall mission with a strong foundation. Now the time has come to write a new chapter for Teachers College. First, because our nation and our world need our knowledge, expertise, and graduates more urgently than ever before. And second, because we face many challenges as an institution, we must summon the courage to make choices in order to take full advantage of all of our great strengths and flourish well into the future. Now, these are unquestionably troubling times. It's not a period of we, as it should be, but rather of us and of them. Worldwide, we are confronted by the worsening threat of climate change, by growing intolerance and othering of fellow human beings, by the rise of repressive regimes and the resulting brutal conflicts that have created the largest refugee population since World War II. In this country, the gap is widening between the haves and have-nots. Our schools have undergone a de facto resegregation along race and class lines, creating a two-tiered system that both reflects and reinforces social inequities. We are faced seemingly every day by widespread gun violence, by growing mean-spiritedness of our political and civic dialogue, and by the spread of hatred. We are alarmed by the sharp rise in the number of crimes motivated by bias against people of color and religious minorities. At the same time, higher education is facing its own special challenges. We are seeing unprecedented skepticism about our value and purpose. Celebrated as society's most powerful engine for upward mobility, higher education in reality bestows much of its riches on the rich, while investing the least in institutions where students of color and low-income backgrounds are most likely to attend. A substantial portion of the country sees higher education as lacking intellectual diversity, while soaring student debt is falling most heavily on those students least able to pay it off. Now, many critics and citizens are asking, is college really worth it? Do public institutions deserve the funding that they receive? Do private colleges and universities earn the ever-increasing tuition that they charge? Now, we cannot wish away the challenges facing higher education, nor will the threats to our democracy, our health, and well-being, and the future of the planet go away unless we all step up. Teachers College is poised to do its part. We have the tools to help address all of these problems. Indeed, it must be our mission to do that, and we will. Let's do that. But in working to advance this mission, Teachers College and education schools in general are confronted by strong headwinds that make our efforts that much more difficult. We are often seen as part of the problem rather than leaders in finding solutions, the gatekeepers of an education system that is lagging behind those of other countries, that is failing to close the achievement gap, that is reinforcing mediocrity that it should be combating. Now, much of this criticism is erroneous and unfair. Nevertheless, the perception creates an environment in which we must operate. We face tough economic challenges as well. As teachers and others in social services and helping professions endure low pay, harsh working conditions, TC, like many education and professional schools, has experienced a decline in applications in some of our programs. For a tuition-dependent institution, these pressures compel us to re-examine our business model. We must ask, is it prudent to charge ever-increasing tuition to prepare students for teaching and social service occupations? Is it sustainable? Now, it is my passionate belief and my message to you today that the strategy for addressing our institutional and economic challenges and the strategy for increasing our effectiveness in reaching our social goals are one and the same. By building a stronger and more effective Teachers College, we will strengthen our ability to help build a stronger and more equitable society. And by truly marshaling our resources to achieve our broader social goals, we will become a stronger and more effective and more sustainable institution. Now, all right. Now, what are the specific elements of that common strategy? Now, in answering that question, I hope you'll forgive me for drawing on the experience of community colleges and our work at CCRC. As I said, that's why I'm here, so you shouldn't be surprised if I talk about that. Now, my experience, moreover, and besides that, I think that a graduate school at one of the foremost universities in the world has a great deal to learn from the experience of community colleges. Over the past 15 years, thousands of community college faculty, administrators, and staff have been working hard to improve student outcomes, a movement often referred to as the completion agenda. While many individual reforms and experiments in remediation, counseling, financial aid, and funding systems produced some limited success, we were not seeing significant improvements in overall institutional or sector performance. It dawned on us our focus was too narrow. The problem was not just remedial education or student advising or funding incentives. It was all of those features put together, exposing the flaws in the overall structure and organization of the colleges. It wasn't that there were no effective reforms or that staff were not skilled and committed, but rather that the organization of most colleges did not allow those resources to be mobilized effectively. Nor did it facilitate collaboration across academic departments or between faculty and social services staff. Now, we referred to the college that had this type of dispersed organization as cafeteria colleges. There were lots of resources, but individual students, faculty, and advisors had to take the initiative by themselves to find their own pathways through complex environments and to use and mobilize the available resources effectively. In order to make significant improvements in college and indeed in the sector's overall performance, the colleges needed to implement comprehensive institutional strategies. In community colleges, as we perceived the limitations of the cafeteria college, we looked for alternatives and developed, along with others, the Guided Pathways framework. This comprehensive model redesigns academic programs and provides services to support students from application to graduation to employment. It's designed to promote communication and collaboration across and among academic and administrative departments. It provides a framework that colleges can adapt to their own circumstances. Now, more than 250 colleges, I guess many of them in California, but in many other states, are implementing guided pathways. And while it's still early days, the early adopters are seeing significant improvements in first and second year student outcomes. Now, in addition to implications about the importance of comprehensive reform, I think we can draw lessons from the process we used to develop guided pathways, and I want to emphasize 3 points. Now, first, and I think this is very important, guided pathways is not something we dreamed up on our own. Rather, we formed working partnerships with policymakers, fellow reformers and researchers, and most important, practitioners at community colleges, presidents and deans, but also faculty members, guidance counselors, and students themselves. We came to understand their concerns and the realities that they dealt with every day, and learned some of the imaginative solutions that they were developing. We reflected back to them what they told us in a framework that pulled all of these elements together in ways that they could use. My second point, we also realized that we needed many perspectives and methodologies to address these issues. So we turned to our colleagues in other departments at TC and elsewhere, and we became a multidisciplinary center. Third, we became a learning community where all of us, students, faculty, researchers, and staff, were both learners and teachers. We learned not only about the substance of the work, but also about how to prepare projects, how to interact with funders and practitioners, how to work together. In short, the CCRC experience demonstrated the power of we. Now, what can we at TC learn from this experience? Like the cafeteria colleges, we have many areas of excellence. But like the cafeteria colleges, we too are not optimally organized to take full advantage of the potential comprehensiveness of the excellence and diversity of our programs. Our structure can be confusing, which inhibits and often discourages collaborations across fields and disciplines, while we can potentially be a highly effective organization that encourages brilliant people to pool their ideas and efforts to achieve common aims. We more often resemble a loose federation of excellent but separate approaches, and we lose opportunities to develop comprehensive solutions to deep problems. We face similar barriers in our administrative structures. We have many excellent administrative staff and resources, but those resources are often dispersed among different offices and are difficult to use, sometimes leading to confusion, duplication, and unproductive efforts. I think that we can do better. How can we more effectively mobilize the assets and resources and services that we already have? Now, I'm proposing, dare I say it, a guided pathways model for Teachers College. And I want to emphasize 5 areas. First, we must make sure that our student pathways are well designed and supported. We must pay attention to the movement of students all the way from recruitment through programs and internships and practica to career services and placement. Many of us are already working on these, so there's much to build on. And our student pathways must extend beyond graduations so that we both continue to support our alumni in their career goals and progress and to draw on their experience and expertise. Now, we have already made great progress to deepen our relationships with passionate and accomplished alumni, and I am excited to build on that. Second, we need to develop our many small programs so that they work in concert and are synchronized and conducted with reference to one another. That way, our programs will be more effective and easier to manage, making the college a place that our students and funders can better understand, navigate, and support. This will also help to assure the excellence and viability of our programs and strengthen the recruitment and continuous professional development of our faculty. Third, we need to strengthen our administrative structures, including our support for funded research, in order to assure that our excellent staff and resources are effectively mobilized and that students and professors can focus on the activities that they came here to carry out, their studies, teaching, and research. Fourth, we should choose a small number of fundamental areas where there's great potential for translating productive, multidisciplinary collaboration and partnerships with practitioners into solutions to deep problems. I've already described the value of this approach for strengthening community college outcomes. Another possibility is to better coordinate and strengthen the many efforts we already are making to promote equity in education by combating the growing racial, ethnic, and income gaps in success. And we could consolidate our work on the physical and emotional health of students, families, and communities, or develop comprehensive strategies to our growing work in the field of citizen education and civic participation. These are only a few of the many possibilities. Fifth, I want to underscore the imperative of continuing to work with practitioners. Teachers College already has deep involvement in our own local community, and in general, our faculty already have extensive relationships with practitioners. Let us make those relationships even more effective and rewarding by working together. Now, over the next several months, I will be initiating community-wide conversations about how we might make progress on all of these areas. But to accomplish all of this on a wide scale, each of us must think beyond our own programs and interests and work to promote the intellectual vitality and social well-being of the entire TC community and expertise. We must also revisit the ideal that I have already talked about, but that we don't always fulfill. I refer to a respect for equity, diversity, and a commitment to collegiality in the truest and fullest sense. We must do a better job of listening to and respecting everyone, both inside and outside the institution, not just in spite of our differences, but because of those differences. None of this will be easy. We will have to make some choices about what matters most and where to focus our energies. We will have to confront our differences and have difficult conversations. But we need to do this, not only to address our own institutional challenges, but also because society increasingly needs us to deliver what we have to offer. Imagine what could happen if we succeed in our mission. Teachers College would be fully focused and fully mobilized. We could be the place where our many disciplines, programs, and viewpoints have greater impact by finding common purpose. This can be our moment. Despite the challenges we face, the college is financially strong and academically rich. We have the reputation, the history, and the talent to achieve our goals. But it starts with choosing to be we. Now let me end by saying this. I want Teachers College to be a place where every single member of the community feels valued and respected. That goes for students and faculty. Now that goes for students and faculty and staff. That even goes for administrators. All deserve the support, mentorship, assistance, and opportunities that they need to achieve their goals. Because I have faith in our goals and our people, I think that if we can truly come together as one community, we as an institution can use our skills and our resources to help build pathways to success for every child, for every adult. That is our mission. Let's accomplish our mission, and let's do that and flourish together. Thank you.
Again, please welcome William Rickert.
Thank you, President Bailey. I think it's clear to everyone that you are indeed, as we all knew, the man of the moment. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this joyous occasion. I'd like you to ask you to please remain in your seats while the presidential procession exits. Then I hope all of you will join us for lunch here in South Hall. Thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.